I'm sending. We can start the section anyway. I guess.
Sir, for in my case, sir, some student they asked me in the class, they don't get the mail invitation for the lecture. I checked their number. They are not in the class, but they want this one, sir. So I told them clearly, you are not in the environmental class. Probably next semester only you will study the course. So now, if you want, you can have the video. But now you cannot. You need not join like that. I told him.
Excuse me, sir. We are in live.
So it's all right, sir.
Yeah, it's right. We are in live. So we can.
Good afternoon, students. So today is the quiz for your course 1001 Environmental Studies. So your examination, I mean the quiz examination will start at sharply at 2:15 to 2:30. The time period is 15 minutes and there are 10 multiple number of questions. All questions are mandatory. So the examination will be taken place in your VTOP. So now I'm going to give you some instructions regarding your quiz examination. So the quiz will start at 2:15 and it will continue for 15 minutes. At 2:30, we'll be having the class after the quiz examination. Well, so these are the instructions. Out of there are two links provided to you in the mail. So you have to open one of the link and put your VTOF credentials, log into that one. Then after, this is important that you have to use your Google Chrome browser. That is preferable. So while giving the examination, do not refresh the browser. This is very important. If you are refreshing browser, there will be some error. So note that you must not refresh the browser. Second important point is, do not minimize while the examination is going on. Do not minimize the browser. All right, and your examination will be started at 2:15. One important point, students, here is have good connectivity because you have only 15 minutes in your hand. So if you are joining 2 minutes or 3 minutes before the examination ends, you will be having 2 or 3 minutes with you. So these are all the instructions. So again, I'm repeating, you have to open that one in Google Chrome. Do not refresh the browser while examination is going on. Second is, do not minimize the tab while examination is going on. And the examination will start sharply at 2:15 and it will continue for 15 minutes. That means the examination will continue at 2:30 p.m. Then after, our faculty member, Professor Rajesh Chalsani, will be giving the lecture on biodiversity. So out of the two links, second link is always preferable. So now the instruction is, all these are the instructions. So the yeah, out of these two, second link, width of 2 is preferable. Yes. So over to you, Sabil sir.
So that's it. Even student can ask questions if they have. Yeah, some students are asking questions. We can answer.
Sir, are you finding that in the okay?
That's it. Yeah, it's compulsory. You have to switch on your mic and webcam. Yeah, the quiz will start at 2:15. So after completing your quiz, please join the same link, and there will be a lecture.
Sabil, I will answer. See, Bamidipati Venkat Chandra has. Sir, at 2:15 we need to leave the class, and again after the quiz we need to join here. You don't have to leave these teams. You log into the team, continue your exam with webcam and microphone on, and you stay in this. Do not leave these teams. You are supposed to keep webcam turn on mic on and then write the exam. You can mute microphone, but at least your webcam should be on. And you don't have to log out from the present meeting. It is different. Team is app and browser. In the browser, go to Google Chrome, open VTop, give your application number. Please make sure it is not register number. It is application number to log into the VTop 2. I hope you people have already appeared yesterday some quizzes, so you have the experience and date of birth. Please keep that link ready at 2:15 sharply. Do not start at 2:14. Once you log in at 2:14, it will tell you you have not for the exam. So please wait till 2:15. Let it pass 10-15 seconds. Then you log in. Do not be in hurry. Okay. And moreover, to remember one thing, that this quiz is not the end of environmental science. This contributes very little portion to your final marks. Do not get panic and do not take so much tension for this simple quiz. It is very simple. Try to answer it. In case if you are not able to submit or log out and in between some errors have come, do not take tension and do not become panic. Okay, be cool, close the browser, log in, and we will see. And this is not the end of your environmental science. In case if you score less, no need to worry. You have other quizzes, and we take best out of 9, best 6. So do not get worried about one quiz. Okay, so be cool.
And so a few students asking which link is good. You can answer.
So use vtop2, vtop2.vitap.ac.in. I hope you all open Google Chrome browser and you all know your application number. And these are 10 questions. You have 10 questions, 15 minutes. Okay. And in between, if you want to go back, do not press back button. If you want to go back to the previous question, do not press any back button or the refresh button. You need to open vtop2 link. That is preferable. Okay. If that option is not available to switch on the webcam and mic, is it fine? Okay. You don't have to leave the session, Aryan Rai. It is okay if you cannot switch on the mic and the webcam because it is live event. It is fine, no problem. A regular class, you need to keep that webcam turned on because it is live event, and if you don't have that option to turn on the camera, do not worry, leave that. Just log into the Chrome. It is 2:11. Okay, at 2:14 I will stop. Do not log in at 2:14. Just wait. Let the time pass 2:15. Stay for 10-15 seconds. Then you log in. See, in order to avoid the rush, they provide 2. Okay, they said preferable link is second one. So try to start with vtop2. Okay. So many people have concern about the webcam because it is live event. You may not have option to turn on the camera. Do not worry about that option. At 2:15 you take the quiz and complete it. Sir, how many students are present?
Currently 382.
Okay. So we have the around 400, is it?
Yeah. And Rajesh, sir, you can explain what time they are supposed to log in once more.
Quiz.
Okay, yeah, we talk. So few students may log in now, and they may get the message.
Mm-hmm. Sheikh Rufaida, if you want to exit Teams, you can exit. See, no issues. He is having this phone. But please remember to log in back. See, it is 2:14. So wait for like let 2:15 pass. Then you log into VTop 2. Okay. I hope you have your application number with you. If someone writes questions anonymous, we will not address those questions. When we see question, your name and register number should be appear. If you write anonymous, we are not supposed to address your question or address your concern. So it is now 2:15. Yes.
Yes. 2:15.
Yeah. You can start logging in into the VTop 2 site and start the quiz. So because they are not in this regular classroom, they are in the live event. They may not able to express any. I mean, they may not be able to talk. So we need to see this chat box continuously and monitor.
Yeah, I'm working on that, and I answered you.
Said that yesterday a new student,
Yeah.
he was not logged into MS Teams. When I add his name, it is saying we did not find any matches.
Then I also got two register number like that. Then we have to enter all email ID.
Yes, sir. I did like that for one fellow.
Instead of register number, we have to type all the email ID.
Yeah, I said the email ID.
Yeah.
If they are not logged into the MS Teams, if they have not created it,
Okay.
or it should enter into the database of MS Teams. Without entering into the database,
Okay.
it will not take even if you give email ID, full email ID.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
If the name is in the database, then only it takes and we can add it.
Okay.
Maybe after some time it happened to me also, sir. Like suppose it is not showing, after 2 to 3 hours I will be checking it is updated.
I checked morning also, it is not added. Yesterday evening and today morning also I checked.
A few students asked again, sir, can I close live event and start the exam and after finishing the exam?
Okay, no problem.
Invalid application number. They use application number or register number.
There it says, when I click on the link, it says application number.
Application number, sir.
So application number is same as registration number.
No,
Oh,
it is
No,
different.
sir.
That is
It
different.
is different.
Different, sir.
Okay.
Sir, a few of the students has they have 2 to 3 students have missed the exam yesterday's my exam what I have conducted. So like one of the students was having connectivity problem. The other student was saying it was like some wrong in credentials, so it was not he was not able to log in. So what should we do for that one? Like out of 9, 6 we have to consider, or we have to conduct some more examinations for those guys who.
Later we will see, sir. We are having anyway. We are going to conduct 9 or more exam, more quiz exam. Uh, we are going to take only 6 only, sir. 6 best, 6 one.
Okay, sir.
One student said it is loading past 2 minutes. What to do?
Power failure, what we can do?
Uh,
You need to
uh, for loading, they can log into
close
the
and
yeah.
open.
Loading for 3 minutes. So that may happen because all the students are using the same link.
Same link. Huge rush on the server.
Yeah. That's good. Completed the exam successfully.
If you complete the exam, you don't have to inform us because some people have concern and doubts. So please give space for others to write when they have doubt. If you are successfully completed, please join the class at 2:45. You don't have to inform us.
Rajesh sir, you can share your screen if you
Yeah,
want,
okay.
because your face is in live now. Loading.
If timer is going on, Sai Deepak, maybe you need to close the browser and log in. It is already 2:26. Close the browser and open a new tab. Sai Deepak, please close it and open. It is already 2:26.
I guess they can log in till 2:30.
Yeah.
From 2:30, it will take another 15 minutes.
Sai Deepak, please log in before 2:30. We'll give extra time, maybe. So Deepak, you need to attend the class. We take attendance only after during the class, during the lecture. Ritika, we are repeatedly sending emails about the schedule. Please check your emails for the complete this thing. Do not write any messages anonymous. So many people have these complaints.
Yeah.
Sir, this quiz where it appears on Vita. The students have answered the questions. Where do we see it on Vita for evaluation and uploading the marks?
No,
That
it is
all
in page view, it seems like. Rajesh sir,
Sir,
we need not evaluate, sir. This is automatic one, sir. Sir, when we are uploading, we give the answer, sir, in one column. So this Vita will automatically will take the correct answer. It will put marks, sir, accordingly. I think we need not do any work, sir.
because the assistant director examination has mentioned that we need to update the marks within that week. That is why I am asking.
Yeah, probably we have to download the marks and we have to upload in another page like that. But evaluation, it's automatic online evaluation, sir. That it will do, sir. Automatic evaluation, sir. I think so.
This network connectivity is the biggest concern for the examinations for the students.
Sir, many students are still they are thinking that they have to join the MS Teams link, MS Teams class group. I don't know how to correct the people. Even few students, my students, they joined that, opened the group, and they called me for joining.
Sir, in the make an announcement there we can write.
Yes, sir. Sir, you can. I think better you can announce, sir, once.
New students are waiting there.
For this environmental course, always in the live event only, not in the MS Teams.
So that Rajesh sir can announce before starting his lecture
Yes, sir.
at 45.
Still, there some people are in my MS Teams classroom. I don't know how to
Yes, sir.
inform people.
Sir, even if thing is, they are attending many classes, sir, from morning 9 o'clock onwards. In a systematic manner, they are opening the MS Teams in the EVS class also automatically. See, this is special event. They have to open the only through the mail, and the live event mail they have to go and open. They are forgetting, not purposely.
Actually, when they are joining, at least they should check the time. It is October 6th, I scheduled class at the beginning. They are joining in that class. At least when before joining, if they check date and time also, it shows. Sir, I will just log out here and go to this class, my team, and I will tell them
Yes, sir.
to
Inform
leave,
and come back, sir. Right,
join the live event. Sabil sir, I'll just leave this and come back.
sir. I think you can without leaving. Can you do it? It's not possible, sir.
I don't know, sir.
Yeah, if you are using mobile, it's better to leave, sir. Then come and join.
So many queries in the classroom, personal classrooms. Sabil sir,
Yes.
it looks like the complaints are there till 2:30.
Yes. Many students end up the quiz in that time.
Sir, please remember to record the video, sir.
Yeah, actually, this event is recording.
Oh,
And
yeah,
from
it's
recording. As it is a live event, it will record automatically.
okay, sir.
People are there in that even I think they have just joined, they are leaving that meeting.
Rajesh sir, your
Volume.
yeah. And Rajesh sir, you can share your screen.
Yeah. So can you see the shared screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, visible.
Rajesh sir, we can start the class.
Okay. 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 In the last class, Dr. Shalini Jani from NERI, she discussed some topics about biodiversity, and she touched most of the topics. So what today I'm going to give you is I'll just stress on some of the important terms in the biodiversity. Okay, what are the important terms in biodiversity? Why we need to conserve our biodiversity? Why is that important to conserve our biodiversity? Okay. You see, first simple cell appeared on this planet about 3.5 billion years ago. Slowly, evolution has happened, and Homo sapiens, humans arrived on this planet around 2 lakhs years ago. So then what has happened is our humans have started to create so many environmental problems. Why these environmental problems are coming? It is because of the unsustainable living of human beings. Why we live unsustainably? Because we are extracting resources at accelerating rate. Why we take so much of the resources? Because we want to support our rapidly growing wants. Instead of fulfilling our basic needs, we just want to fulfill our rapidly growing wants. That's why we consume so much of the resources at an accelerating rate. This leads to the unsustainable living, and this is the reason for environmental problems. When we observe the Earth is sustainable for the last 3.5 billion years. When you compare that duration, 3.5 billion years, and now we are facing so many environmental problems for last 100 to 150 years. When you compare this time with those 3 billion years, it is fraction. But why we have done, or why we have created so much of the environmental problems? Or if we want to address these environmental problems, we need to learn sustainable living. So what our Earth has showed us, why this Earth is sustainable for last 3 billion years? Because it relied on 3 simple principles, or it used 3 simple principles. One is, it used solar energy for energy as the sun as the energy source, and it maintained biodiversity, and it also did chemical cycling. We learned about these geochemical cycles in the first lecture: nitrogen cycle, phosphorus cycle, carbon cycle. So Earth showed us, for your energy needs, you depend on renewable energy sources, not on non-renewable energy sources. For our energy needs, we use mainly fossil fuels. That is not correct. We should depend on renewable energy source. For the last 3 billion years, Earth has taken energy from the sun. Mainly, it used it for the photosynthesis, and it maintained the biodiversity. It promoted multiple options for life, and it showed us how to do the recycling. So you see in these cycles, carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, continuously elements are getting recycled. So that these principles, that Earth is teaching us how to live sustainably, use renewable energy sources, promote or encourage biodiversity, and learn how to recycle. So now we will concentrate on the biodiversity. What is biodiversity, and how we are causing problems to the biodiversity, and how to conserve the biodiversity. So what exactly is the biodiversity? It is the variability among living organisms from all the sources. First lecture, what we learned, we learned that there are many ecosystems. Like we have terrestrial ecosystem, marine ecosystem, there are many ecosystems on the planet, forest. So all these contains many living organisms, and you have variability among these living organisms. This is called biodiversity. So this biodiversity can be classified into species diversity, genetic diversity, ecosystem diversity, and functional diversity. First, we start with genetic diversity. What is genetic diversity? If you take any species, if you take any living organism, you can find variations within the same organism because of the gene modification or gene sequence change from one species to the same species shows different variations. One variation to other variant, you find different gene sequences. So to understand genetic diversity, you see, Dog is one living organism, one species. You can observe different varieties of dogs. If you see mangoes, you can observe different varieties of mangoes. See humans also, we have different variations. These are all because of the genetic diversity. This is called genetic diversity. And next one is species diversity. Suppose you consider one area, okay, one unit area. In that unit area, how many different living organisms are present? That is called species diversity. When we are considering species diversity, you need to see what is species richness and what is species abundance. To understand species richness and species abundance, I'll give you one example. Okay, before going into the species richness and species abundance, you see on the earth, so far biologists have identified about 1.9 million species. But what scientists estimate is there are 8 million to 100 million different species are present on this planet. So this is the example. This is how we represent species diversity. Now you see community 1 and community 2. In community 1, you have 4 different species. In community community 2 also, you have 4 different species. So the species richness is same in both the communities, 4 different varieties. So species richness is same. But you see species abundance. A is 25%, B is 25%. You have same abundance in the community 1. All species all have same abundance. But when you come to the community 2, that species A is dominating. That means you have more species abundance. A has more abundance and others are less. So this is not good for the biodiversity. We want to have species richness as well as the species abundance. Why one species grow more? If you in the food chain, if you kill or if one species extincted, then the other species may go up. So that is why we need to maintain both the species richness and species abundance. Next one is ecosystem diversity. So what ecosystem diversity tells us? Variation in the habitat. As I mentioned earlier, we have forest ecosystem, grassland, wetland, water bodies, like you have different ecosystems. So this diversity there is a diversity in the ecosystem. Functional diversity. As I mentioned, there are different ecosystems and each ecosystem works differently. You have different ways, different food chains in ecosystem, and that chemical cycles also work differently depending on the ecosystems. So this is called functional diversity. So why biodiversity is important? If you remember previous lecture, ma'am has given many examples. You see medicines are coming from the because from the plant extracts, and animals can be used in the medicine. So she has given many examples. So biodiversity maintain fertility of the topsoil. You all know decomposers. Decomposers helps in maintaining the fertility of the topsoil. Decomposing recycling waste and controlling population of species that human consider to be pests. So there are many advantages of the biodiversity, and main thing is biodiversity helps to sustain life on the earth. So these applications can be categorized into 2. Okay, one is direct values. In the direct values, you have consumptive and productive use. Consumptive use means directly we take. See, you get food, fuel, dietary requirement, medicine. These are all consumptive use from the biodiversity. Because of different plants, we get different medicines. So these are all direct usage, and these are called consumptive use. You get honey, you get cotton. These are all the consumptive usage. And productive usage. So you make paper from the plant. You make cloth from the cotton. You make leather items from the animal skin. So these are all the productive values. You make product from by using these species. Okay, these are all productive values. these are example for the productive use. So biodiversity is providing all these human needs, because you have different varieties of animals and the trees, you get all these needs from the biodiversity. And it also indirectly, biodiversity helps us. Example is pollination, maintaining the nutrient cycles. These are all the indirect values, are indirectly help biodiversity helping us. Soil production and the protection from erosion, all these things, indirect usage from the biodiversity. And madam has mentioned that India is mega diverse country. So what exactly is the mega diverse country, or what is mega diversity? A simple way of saying mega diversity is great diversity, great diversity. And if you take a country, and if you have many different varieties of the many different variety of species, in addition there should be many endemic species, many endemic species. What exactly is the endemic species? If you find any species particularly in one geographical area and you can't find it other than that geographical area, you call that as endemic species. In other words, it is a native species for that particular area. You cannot find it in the other areas. So mega diversity country means it should have great diversity. In addition, it should have at least 5,000 species of endemic plants and must border marine ecosystem. So these are called mega diverse countries. In this figure, you can see those countries marked in green are the mega diverse countries. India is one of the mega diverse countries. Okay, next important point is species interaction. This species interaction helpful in maintaining the species richness as well as the species abundance. I mentioned what is species richness and the species abundance. What are different types of species interaction? You have interspecific competition, predation, parasitism, mutualism, and the commensalism. We start with the interspecific competition. The points now what we are discussing, species interaction, this is important to maintain the biodiversity. Okay, so when you see interspecific competition, if two species or more species competing for food, shelter, water, if we are competing for the resources, we say it as interspecific competition. You observe the name properly, it is interspecific. So in between the species there is a competition, that is called interspecific competition. So what will happen if you have this competition? If this competition is there, the population control is in check. Okay, it will not allow one thing to grow more and one thing to go less. There will be a competition and the population is in check. So if these species are competing, then each species has its role in the ecosystem. That role is called as ecological niche. This biologists have given the name, it is called ecological niche. So it is a species way of life in community. So ecological niche will be quantified or defined based on how much food it needs, what shelter it needs, how much water it takes. This is defined by the resource usage. You can see this graph, number of individuals and the resource use. If some particular species, if takes so much of the resources for its survival, you call it as generalist species. And if the ecological niche is less, if some species takes less resources, then you call it as specialist species. Once these ecological niches are overlapping, you can see in this graph, blue line and red line are this line and common area is there. So that region is the niche overlap. When this niche overlap happens, this interspecific competition happens. Okay, when two species compete with one another for the same resources, example food, light, space, their niches overlap. The greater this overlap, the more intense their competition for key resources. So this helps in maintaining the population of the different species. Next type of interaction is predation. Next type of interaction is predation. Here there is no competition. One species directly takes the other species. Occurs when a member of one species feeds directly on all parts of living organism. It is called predation. Okay, this is important in the food chain also. You have learned what is food chain and the what is food web. Suppose if the leopards are not there, this deer's population will be so much high. So that species abundance of these deers will be more. Then it will consume more plants. So this is all interrelated. So these type of interactions are maintaining the population. Okay, next one is parasitism. In parasitism, you have a parasite and the host. So these parasites live on the host body, and it this parasite feeds from the host body. Parasitism occurs when one species, the parasite, feeds on another organism. So in this relationship, parasite benefits and the host is often harmed but not immediately killed. Example, bedbugs, tapeworms, and mosquitoes. So because of these parasites, some of the species may get killed. In that way also the population control will be maintained. Okay, in some cases they help to keep the population of their hosts in check. Next one is mutualism. In mutualism, both the species interact and they get benefited. Two species behave in a way that benefit both by providing each with food, shelter, and some other resources. Pollination is example for mutualism. See on this rhino, you observe these small birds. Okay, this is also example for mutualism. These birds take the parasites on the rhino, and when any predator when these birds see any predator, they shout, so this rhino can escape. So rhinos also getting benefited and the birds also getting benefited. So this is called mutualistic relationship. Next one is commensalism. In this commensalism, usually host will not get benefited, but the other species will get benefited. Is an interaction that benefits one species but has little beneficial or harmful to other. In parasitism, there will be a harm for host, but in the commensalism, host may not get affected and there is no benefit also. So birds benefit by nesting in trees. So this kind of relation is called commensalism, and this is also another example for commensalism. Now next important point what we see is species extinction. Species extinction. When we say one species is extincted, a species is said to be extinct when it is not seen in the wild for 50 years at a stretch. If you do not see any species in the ecosystem for last 50 years, then we will say that species is extincted. What are the disadvantages of the species extinction? Simple example, in the food chain, one species is dependent on the other species for the food. Okay, if one species is extincted, the other species also may get extincted. That is called secondary extinction or the ecosystem. As a result, the food chain in the ecosystem will be weakened or it is broken. So species extinctions can also happen naturally. In these 3.5 billion years, sometime Earth has seen this species extinction because of the natural reasons, but during that time it has recovered. If you give enough time, the nature, the ecosystem can recover from the extinction. What are the natural reasons for species extinction? when volcanic eruptions happen, when the asteroids hit the planet, if there is major climate change, during these, because of these reasons, there can be a species extinction naturally. But Earth can overcome this, it can recover. But what the problem is, now our human activities are not giving enough time for the ecosystem to recover. We are causing so much damage to the biodiversity at fast rate. We do not give enough time to recover. We consume huge quantities of resources and creating large and growing ecological footprints. So example is, we are filling the wetlands and the grassland and forests. We are converting those wetlands, grassland, forests into the urban area. This is a huge blow or damage to the biodiversity. And see, now the nature cannot recover because we continuously do this agriculture on this grassland and the wetlands. Human activities are polluting and disturbing most of the surface waters. So because of that, ecosystem in the water also getting affected. So Earth need long time recovery, but we do not give enough time. Okay, so these are all some of the extincted species. Passenger pigeon extincted in 1914. Tasmanian tiger 1936. So these are all extincted. Now we do not see these species. See why this passenger pigeon is extincted. The reasons are habitat loss, hunting, and they are easy to kill. Why did the people hunted and these passenger pigeons? Because they are good to eat, their feathers are made good pillows, and their bones were usually used in fertilizer. So because of this reason, humans have hunted all these passenger pigeon and this got extincted. So now we know what is extincted species. If you do not see for last 50 years in the ecosystem, we call it as extincted species. Next category is endangered species. Next category, endangered species. If you see few individuals, okay, maybe some hundreds, so you see some hundreds of animals, like hundreds of tigers, hundreds of elephants, then we call them as endangered species. Endangered species has so few individual survivors that the species could soon become extinct. If they are in hundreds or if they are in 10, then they can become extincted. So these are called endangered species. Next category is threatened species. So they are they have enough remaining individual to survive in the short term. If you see in thousands, okay, if you see only few thousands, but slowly they are declining, it is likely to become endangered in the near future. So this is the category. First they are threatened species, then they become endangered species, then they extinct. The species which are not endangered right now, but if they are at risk, then they are called as rare species. So that is how they move: rare to threatened, threatened to endangered, endangered to extincted. Okay, these are all the endangered species. In India now you can see Indian tiger is endangered species, and black rhinos are endangered species. You can see African elephant. All these species are endangered species. If we do not protect them now, they may soon become extincted. So these are Sumatran tiger in Indonesia. You can find less than 60. So these numbers you see 60, 60, 172, 210. So that means they are very few, and soon they may become extinct. We learned what is endemic species. So endemic species is native species that is only present in that particular geographical area. You don't find it in the other area. So now these endemic species are slowly becoming endangered because of the human activity. Species that are found only one area are called endemic species and are especially vulnerable to the extinction. See, these are all the examples. These are endemic species They are only, particularly you can see these giant pandas in China, lemur in Madagascar. So slowly they are becoming endangered. So what is the reason for this endemic species loss? Why they are becoming endangered? Because habitat loss. Habitat loss means you are cutting the forests, changing environmental conditions. Because of the high temperature, we may lose some of the species. See, this male golden toad lived in Costa Rica. Now the species became extinct in 1989, apparently because its habitat dried up. So we lost this species. This is endemic space, particularly it was in Costa Rica. Now its habitat dried up and we lost this species. So once this you are losing endemic species and it is becoming endangered, then slowly we develop hotspots. As madam also discussed about the hotspots. What is hotspots? Biogeographical region with significant levels of biodiversity that is threatened with destruction. So what is hotspot? It has great diversity, but that diversity is under threat. You are destroying the diversity. Then you call it as biodiversity hotspot. Biodiversity hotspot. So to qualify a hotspot, what are the criteria? It should contain 1500 species of vascular plants as endemic, has to have lost at least 70% of its primary vegetation. You have many endemic species, but out of that 70% is going, then you say those areas are hotspots. Around the world, 36 areas are considered as biodiversity hotspots. Okay, you can see these hot spots in the figure. The areas in the red, they are all biodiversity hotspots. Can you find see, these are all hotspots. Now slowly we are adding more and more areas. We are adding blue areas. So that is the entire globe is becoming hotspot. That means the entire biodiversity on the globe is under threat. These are all different areas in different continents. You have we are developing this biodiversity hotspot. As I mentioned earlier, there is a union that is called International Union for Conservation of Nature. They evaluate. Okay, the first they take all the species. Some of the species we are not identified and we don't have enough data. Once you have adequate data, then you categorize them as least concern, near threatened, vulnerable, endangered, critically endangered, extinct in the wild, and extinct. This is what the categories we have discussed. And mainly the threatened categories are these endangered and the vulnerable. Okay, and the rare species. These are all under threat. Okay. What is ecological succession? Suppose if any forest or some disturbance has happened to the nature, okay, it can evolve. Then that is called ecological succession. That can be categorized in two ways: primary ecological succession and the secondary ecological succession. If the ecological succession starts from the bare rocks, then you call it as primary ecological succession. Okay, you see from the rocks, just a second. Okay, from the exposed rocks, slowly with water you develop lichens and mosses, and next small herbs and the small shrubs. So slowly that succession happens. It is called primary ecological succession. But how long it takes for the primary ecological succession? It takes hundreds to 1000 years. Next one is a secondary ecological succession. Where the secondary ecological succession happens is Suppose you used some area and you have enough top layer with some nutrients and you left that area unused, then the succession happens. So that is abundant farmlands, bond or cut forest, heavily polluted streams. So from there also succession happens. So primary succession happens from the rocks, bare rocks, but secondary succession happens from the abundant fields. So why we are discussing the secondary ecological succession? Within few weeks you can see some greenery and succession happen. Why this ecological succession is important? Suppose we lost the biodiversity, we cut so much of the forest. If you give enough time, so because of this ecological succession, the nature can recover. The nature can recover. That is natural ecological restoration. But the problem with the humans, now what we do not give that time. We continuously use the resources. We will not give time for recovery or ecological succession. Next important topic we discuss is gene modified crops. I'll discuss why this gene modified crops is included in the biodiversity. We know human population is around now 7.5 billion on the globe. We need to support all these humans with food. If you want to provide food for all these people, we need to have so much of the production. If you want to produce so much of the food in this restricted land, you need different varieties. How these varieties develop? In olden days, I mean, maybe if you around 30 to 40 years back, they do crossbreeding. To understand crossbreeding, you see this example. You take a trait which is virus resistant and you take a variety which has high yield. Then you do the crossbreed. You can develop the variety which gives both virus resistant as well as high yield. But what is the drawback of this conventional crossbreeding is to develop one trait or one variety, it takes more than 15 years. You take longer time. Okay, it takes long time. But now scientists have developed this gene splicing, the technique called gene splicing. In this DNA, if you identify, you can add, delete or change the segment. That means you can remove the gene or you can introduce the gene into the DNA. You call it as gene splicing. It involves altering an organism's genetic material through adding, deleting or changing segments of its to produce desirable trait or eliminate undesirable one. Suppose some variety it gets more virus. So if you can identify that particular gene and if you can remove, you can produce the variety that is virus resistant. And if you know which gene causes more production, if you can introduce that gene into the sequence, then you can get more production variety. So this is called gene splicing. Artificially we improve the we do genetical engineering to develop genetically improved strains of crops and livestock animals. See, in this example, the top one shows Bt gene and the below DNA shows corn. So from this Bt gene, you can remove that yellow part, that gene, and it can be introduced into the corn. So what is this GMOs? By using gene splicing, we are developing new varieties. That is called gene modified food. It enables scientists to transfer genes between different species that would not normally interbreed in nature. That resulting organisms are called genetically modified organism. So if you develop any variety through this technique gene splicing, then you call that variety as gene modified variety or gene modified organisms. When compared to the crossbreeding, the first technique what I mentioned, that you take two different varieties, you crossbreed, it take so much time. I mentioned that it takes at least minimum 15 years to develop a new variety. But with this gene modified technique, you can produce new varieties with the shorter duration and with less cost. So why we are producing gene modified food? So we want to, in some areas we don't have enough water or enough rain. So we want to develop a variety drought tolerant GM version, gene modified version. And if you can develop some variety with less fertilizer, which takes less fertilizer and the less pesticide. This is the goal of the gene splicing, to produce gene modified organisms. So these are all gene modified foods. You see this example. In this example, you can see ordinary tomato and gene silenced variety or gene modified tomato. If you know that gene which is causing rotting in tomato and you remove that gene, then it is gene modified food. This ordinary tomato, you see, within 45 days it is it is rotten, okay, but the gene silenced, that means you remove that gene and you make gene silenced or gene modified food. You can see still that tomato remains intact for up to 45 days. In BT cotton, you are introducing a gene, transgene, that produces toxins that can kill the insecticide. That is the BT cotton. The gene coding for BT toxin is inserted into cotton as transgene, causing it to produce natural insecticide in its tissue. So that is called BT cotton. So this is the point where gene modified foods, we have problem with the gene modified food. You see, with the time in USA and India, with time, the area that we are gene modified food is increasing. Okay, slowly that area is increasing. We are planting so many gene modified crops. So what happens if you continuously do this gene modified crops? See, before this invention, high yield varieties, we have so many different varieties of rice. That means the biodiversity. But we want more production, more virus resistant varieties. So everybody started to use only one variety, or used to produce only one variety of rice, or one variety of mango, one variety of cotton. So then we lose the biodiversity. So gene modified food may be useful for our food support, but in the other way we are losing biodiversity. We are just limited ourselves to 2 or 3 varieties. So what are the advantages? It is pest resistant, lesser time per production, high yield, and tolerant to environmental conditions. We have already mentioned a drought tolerant and those varieties. But what are the disadvantages? These GM crops, what are the disadvantages? As I already mentioned, if all the farmers use only few varieties and we get production from few varieties, we are losing biodiversity. And moreover, critics also warn that we know too little about the long-term potential harm to human health and ecosystem from the widespread use of such crops. So we do not know the long-term potential harm. And GM organisms that are released into the environment cause unintended harmful genetic and ecological effects. As some scientists expect, those organisms cannot be recalled. Okay, these are the disadvantages. We have we may develop super wheat and the super bugs, and we unforeseen allergen risks. These are the advantages and the disadvantages of the genetically modified food. And if you see, some of the developed nations do not consider GM crops to be safe. In more than 60 countries around the world, including Australia, Japan, and European Union, most of the developed countries have significant restrictions and outright bans on the production and sale of GM crops. Okay, this is about the biodiversity. This thing, sir. Sabil sir.
Sorry, yes.
It's 3:30. I'll stop here.
Okay. Okay.
There are some other topic, but it takes long time to discuss that other topic. Okay.
Okay. Okay. That's fine.
Covered up to gene modified food, sir. So
Yeah.
species interaction, gene modified, importance of biodiversity. These topics I have discussed.
Okay, that's fine. And we can share the link and material to the in the VTop.
Yeah. It's 3:30. Maybe we can.
Yeah. Yes. That's fine.
So we will announce students that can leave.
Yeah. Or HOD can announce it.
Yes, sir. You can announce, sir. Sabil, sir.
Yeah.
Announce, sir.
So, dear students, we are winding up the lecture here. Thank you so much, Rajesh sir. The lecture regarding biodiversity, and he explained in details what are the things in the biodiversity and the importance. So thank you so much, sir. So we are winding up the third lecture in the lecture series, and the note and the recorded video will update in the VTalk. So all
I will send my presentation up to what I discussed. Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
And there is a small topic, how to conserve this biodiversity. That we may not discuss now because it's already 3. Okay.
Yeah.
So whatever we discussed, we will share up to that, and we can ask questions from the previous lecture and this lecture.
So please note that one, students. The next quiz will be based on module 2, that is biodiversity. For that, you can refer this lecture and this lecture, today's lecture too. The questions will be based on biodiversity. Well, that's it. So you can leave from here, isn't it? So anything else? Any announcement else to know? Just
Sir, you can inform students for the EVS class, environmental studies class, they should join only in the live event only, not the class teams.
Yeah, exactly. And one more announcement. The MS team for EVS is a temporary group. There will not be any class in MS team group. But the class will.
That team, if it is there also, it is for announcement. If you want to announce to the entire team, we are just mentioning there. All the EVS lectures will go as live event. So please join the live events. And when you are joining, at least if you are joining, please check the date and time. See, some people today in my team, they joined. It was scheduled for October 6th and 2. At least when you are clicking join, you can just check the date and time. The date, it shows October 6. So October 6 scheduled meeting, how can you join today? See, Teams is not new now. It is already a month. It's already a month you are using. So before joining any class, please check the date and the time. In the calendar, it will be, you can clearly see the date and time of the class. So before clicking joining button, please check the date and time and then join. Just do not randomly click join button.
And one more thing, while joining the live event, please use your institute mail ID, or please care that one. If you use your mobile phone, then make sure that you install the MS Team there. Otherwise, that will not work.
Sabil sir,
Yes.
now how many students joined sir in this lecture? Now
More than 300 students.
I think now almost all are leaving it seems. Now
Yes.
check sir.
Yeah, now 242.
Okay sir.
Okay then. Yeah, you can. So we are leaving from this, and thanks, Rajeshta, again one more time, and thank you the students for the as the audience.
Sir, is it okay lecture?
Fine sir, fine. You covered nicely.